Countdown to virtual parent-teacher conferences. Chances are most of you are very familiar with virtual conferences with your students by now. However, when we change that audience and it becomes parents, sometimes that can be a little unsettling and a little nerve-wracking for your first experience. So the more you prepare for it, the better everything is going to be, as well as you may have to be the helper to help parents through this conference situation. So we're going to look at what to do well before the week of conferences, the week of conferences, the day of conferences, and after conferences. Well before the week of conferences, you are probably already going to have your appointments set. If you don't, you can use the Google Calendar appointment slots tool. This is only in Google for Education accounts. So the video on the left is going to show you exactly how to create the slots and share that link with your parents. And the video on the right is going to be the next steps. How do parents or how does somebody pick a time? Down in the notes of this template that I am going to share with you is going to be a link directly to this video, so you can include that in your email to parents. Then let's plan for the agenda. What are these parent-teacher conferences? What's the content going to be when we are virtual? It's not going to be a lot different from being face-to-face. It's just going to feel really different. Some teachers like to have an entry screen. This might be similar to something you might already use with students. I suggest using Google Slides because they're easy to edit and you can share them very simply on a Google Meet. If you wanted to have a slideshow that had a generic welcome to parents, a picture of you, your name, and especially if you're a secondary teacher, what do you teach? Also, you might want to have a little message for parents. Maybe that the meeting will be starting shortly, and then those same reminders that we all need when we are in a virtual conference. Finally, don't forget to have a script or an agenda for the meeting. Have some things on paper next to you. Or if you're lucky enough to have two computer screens, you could have some virtual notes on one screen and your meeting on the other. If you have that uncomfortable silence and the parents aren't really in the conversational mood, what are some things that you can prompt them with information that you do want to pull from them about their child? Also, you can share digital learning artifacts with them. So know exactly where to locate those. If you have a Google slideshow, you can have a Google slide on every single student, and then you can have a link to those files that you might want to share with. Also, you can send an email after the meeting that would have a link to all of those items that parents can go back and look at. Well before, you need to do a sound and lighting check. You need to make sure everything is going to function well. The first time in a Google Meet should not be with the live audience. So check out your physical space, and I have some tips here for you to take a look at. Pay attention to the sound. Close the door so there's not noise in the background. One of the biggest tips I want to give you is to make sure that you unplug any external sound systems from your device. If you have like a smart board and the sound is coming through your ceiling, unplug all of that. Be as much using just that one device when you are doing this one-to-one Google Meet conference with your parents. Practice all of this. Find somebody that you can test this on as well. So when you're practicing a Google Meet with someone, it could be a colleague, student, but also try to find somebody outside of your district. If you're new to this, this video is going to walk you through it. This comes from the Kincaid IT mini course, Managing a Virtual Class Meeting. It's just an excerpt clip of one of the lessons that we have in there. So practice before the meeting, sharing your entry screen if you're going to use that. Make sure you're comfortable with how to mute your mic, turn your cameras on and off. How do you tell somebody else how to do that? What would the directions be if the parents can't find that? As well as locate any of the Google Meet tools that you are planning on using, like Blur Background. If you use Blur Background, one of the cool things about that is you are actually showing parents a tool inside of Google Meet that their students could use. So this could be a tool that you actually model really for the purpose of showing parents that that's an option that they have as well. That's also a good icebreaker for parents. This slide here will walk you through how you can blur your background. So after you've had time to practice, now we're going to look at the week of conferences. This is a good time to look back at your appointment slots, and you're going to confirm with parents when their appointment time is, or who are you still waiting on, and let's send them another invite. When your parents use the Google Calendar appointment slots, if you go to the calendar, you open the invite and you type, "I'm looking forward to meeting with you next week." Copy that because you can paste it then to every message. message, click save, and you're going to get a prompt. And it's going to ask you, would you like this message to be sent to the people in the appointment? Click yes. Parents will get an email as a reminder of their appointment with you. For parents who have not responded yet, I would suggest a blind carbon copy of the same message that you sent earlier with that same link to the appointment slot. The day of conferences. First of all, take a look back at some of the tips of preparing and making sure that you are back to a place where you are ready and set for your conference. Look at your physical space. Look at your computer screen or your window. Make sure that you have your Google Calendar open and ready, and the Google slide deck if you're going to use the entry screen message. Close everything else. When you're sharing your screen with parents, you might accidentally be sharing a window that you don't want anybody to see. One of those could just be your email. A lot of times there's some personal things on our email, and when you're showing a screen and it's there, by habit, we all just start reading what's in front of us. So I don't want any mistakes like that to happen to you. You can also pin your tab down. So on your tab in Chrome, if you right click on it, you can pin your Google Calendar tab so it stays at the front, as well as your Google slide deck. It would stay at the front as well. So you're going to open that Google meeting and make a sound check for your mic and speakers. If they're good for the first meeting and you have everything worked out, chances are really good it's going to work for you just fine the rest of the day. Make sure the lighting is coming from the front and that your parents see you, not your forehead. They really need to see your face on the screen. And with that camera check, making sure that everything is going to work for you. If you made the appointments in your Google Calendar appointments, then in your Google Calendar, you are going to have a separate Google Meet for each and every parent, a unique place for you to go. All you have to do is open up the calendar invite, click join with Google Meet. When you join with Google Meet, parents could join this exact same way. They could join with this hyperlink underneath here. They could also call it in and using that PIN number. So if parents need to use a different method and they call you or they email you, all you have to do is copy it and paste it and send it to them in an email. When parents get that, it's really an easy process for them to click and join. So when we're ready to go and we're ready for parents to join us, I always like to set a timer. You probably do this too when you're in your face-to-face meeting. So if you set your timer and parents watch you start it, you can just say, I'm just going to start this timer to keep us on track. If you can, join the Google Meet early, especially for your very first conference. This will make sure you have that confidence that everything is working for you. If you want to, I typically, if the person I'm meeting with is not online yet, I typically mute my mic, turn the camera off, but I leave everything ready to go. And as soon as I see they've joined, then I open everything up. I do that because sometimes I decide, ooh, I'm going to go get a drink of water real quick. So while I'm away, if they join, I want them to see me sitting down and not walking back to the camera. Use your script. We talked about that a little bit. And also let parents know when there's just a few minutes left to say, some parents are really hard to stop the conference. So make sure that you've got some strategies for how are you going to end that conference. When you're finished, you need to turn off, close the conference so that one ends. Then you'll go to the next appointment slot and open that one when the time is ready for it. In between conferences, always do a double check that your mic and camera are turned off. After conferences is no different than face-to-face conferences. Sending parents a thank you using your email ad, as well as a follow-up if you need to make contact with those parents who were not able to attend.